Hey, I'm Jordan.
And I'm Ashley. We're the founders of For the Good, a community created to empower and elevate you to live a purpose-driven life.
Our mission is to bring light into our world, and to do so, we have learned that it must start within.
We are so glad to have you here with us. July 1st marked the first day of the second half of 2020, and we know the year has brought ups and downs along with it. We are here to encourage and empower you to know that today is a new day. And rather than waiting for the new year to roll around to tackle the dreams and goals you have in your heart, let's make today that day. Let's make the next 6 months a time we are proud of, even if there are pivots and shifts we have to make along the way. Jordan and I have been planning our For the Good events, our first with the Barcode of Northville and Recharge Retreat. They were planned for the end of May and early June, and because of everything going on as it has been, like everyone else, we had to pivot. And then rather than canceling those events, we chose to reschedule to August. Although we were really excited to have it on those dates, we believe that this time will allow us to be able to make that event even greater. So we look at this with a silver lining, knowing that everything has happened and we have the ability to bring it together and bring great purpose out from it.
So just as Ashley said in the beginning of the episode, I think the main point to take from that is, just like she said, we approached that situation and we decided to go with a positive mindset talking about our events. Like she said, we pushed them off a couple months, knowing it was all part of the plan to do this in May and June, to start off the summer with a great, happy event. Considering what has been going on, it was a very tough decision to move these things back to the end of the summer, but now approaching it with the mindset that we have, as she said, July 1st is the next 6 months of this year. It's the second half of the year. It's a time to kind of reset, recharge, and go at these next 6 months and really make something out of it. So now, instead of looking at this and saying, well, we had to push everything back, now we're all off cue, we didn't want to do it this way. No, now we're saying, okay, we're going to do this in August. This is a great way to approach the last 6 months of the year and to get everyone in the right mindset and to get in a positive place in a way that they can approach the rest of the year with grace and with a good, positive attitude. I think a lot of people will look and say, if I'm going to start this new diet, if I'm going to start working on myself, if I'm going to take the steps to do these things I want to do, I'll wait till Monday, or I'm going to wait till next week. Next week's a good time to start, or maybe next month, the first of the month, that's going to be the day I just change everything and I do it. What we always talk about is that day never comes. Because all of a sudden, when you wait till that next week, then you're going to say, well, this isn't going good. I messed up today already, so I can't start today. I'm going to start next week. I'm going to give myself another week, and then next Monday is the day. Yesterday, as we're recording, was July 1st. That was the first day of the second half of the year. 6 more months to make this year something great. So everyone listening, just know that you are already in that 6 months, the second 6 months of 2020. Today is your day. Right now as you're listening, make today the day that you do something. Take that first step and realize that you can make this year something incredible. There's plenty of time to turn this around.
Yeah, I agree. I think too often people wait until a certain day, a certain time of year to be able to get themselves going on their goals. I know that Jordan and I have mentioned this before, but actually in our podcast room here, we have a sign up, and at the beginning of 2020, we always write down our goals that we will accomplish in that year. And this is a tradition that we've been doing probably for about 3 years or so now. And I actually was just talking with a friend of mine who said that she felt a little scattered considering everything has shifted the way that it has. And I encouraged her to write her goals down the next 6 months. So where do you want to be in the next 6 months? Where do you want to be when 2020 ends and 2021 begins? And I think that it's so important to be intentional about writing down our goals, because too often we just keep them inside our own mind and we don't realize how we have to take those steps to get to the point that we want to be. So the number one thing that I would recommend to get started is to sit down and focus on where you want to be and kind of roadmap yourself to be able to get yourself to really think about how you can get to that point.
It's so easy to get caught up in going back on autopilot, going through your days, forgetting really what your purpose is for the day. And everyone who has their routine, if you're at your normal job and you come home and then it's just get ready for dinner, and then go to bed and do it again. It's so easy to get caught up in routines because that's kind of human nature. In goal setting and making changes to reach your goals, it's also about changing those habits and implementing new good habits. So in terms of goal setting, like Ashley said, I think that's a huge thing to have these goals written down as a constant reminder. I know for myself, I can get caught up in the day-to-day, and before you know it, 3, 4, 5 days go by, a week goes by, and I haven't really taken steps on things I want to be working on. But as she said, we have this poster hanging up in our room, and coming back here and taking a quick moment, just looking at it, it kind of centers you and it says, okay, this is what I want to go for next. So what can I do today to take a step to doing that? So having that visual reminder, I think, is a huge step.
Another thing that I do daily is I write down 10 goals that I will accomplish. And it can be anything from personal to professional. I read that less than 1% of people write down their goals and their dreams daily. So I stick to 10. And then at the end, I write down the goal that I am going to accomplish first. And that can be related to any of the 10 above to be able to keep you motivated and keep you going. Because I think it is great to have that poster up, but it is also to write down those things as if it already happened. So say I will, I am, to be able to put it in that present tense and really make that dream come to life. Right now, as Jordan and I said, we are in the mid-year of 2020, and it is important for us to do a mid-year check-in. And I know that the first 6 months has been all over the place. We have been trying to figure out different ways to shift and pivot our lives, our families, our children. So right now may not be where you thought you were going to be at this point, but that's okay. Just give yourself that grace and compassion you need to pick yourself up and keep moving forward.
I think that's the biggest part of what we talk about in terms of keeping that mindset is everything that we've seen online. I mean, me specifically, going through my timeline on Facebook, everyone is already kind of throwing this year out. You know, everyone's saying 2020 is so miserable, it's so hard. I mean, you can already see having that mindset when you're just waiting for something bad to happen. That's the quickest way that you're going to find something bad to happen. And that's the quickest way that you're going to look at things around you. And you're not going to look for the good in things. You're going to see the bad in things. And you're going to see why things are negative and why they're out of place. So if you're one of those people, you have to really take a step back and say, hold on, there's still another half of this year. This year is half over. So I'm not going to let this year take its toll on me. I'm going to take control right now. I'm going to make these next 6 months completely different than what I've seen before. They're going to be very powerful and changing and rewarding months for me. And I think when you start to have that mindset, you kind of look at it the way Ashley and I have, as seeing the opportunity and seeing the great things that still happen this year, and knowing that you have 6 months. 6 months is a lot of time. 6 months is a great deal of time to pick out a couple things you want to work on and to not only work on them, but to get them accomplished. So if you're someone who's having a hard time goal setting, or you're thinking of things way too far in the future, think of what you can do in these 6 months. A couple smaller things to get you started, and focus all your time and your energy on completing and accomplishing these tasks. Because as soon as you knock out a couple smaller things, you build that willpower, build the self-confidence, you build everything that you need to make a strong foundation for yourself.
Yeah, I definitely agree when you say everything about mindset. It really comes down to how we perceive everything going on and the ways that we can see a silver lining and a light in all of this. I know a couple people who have been impacted with their jobs. You know, I've talked with them more about this, and they said that they are choosing to look at this as an opportunity to kind of shift into a career that they've always wanted to do, because for the longest time, whether it be months or years or decades, they've been in this position in this company for however long, and now they view this as a time where they are going to do something that makes them happy, because they've spent this time doing something that hasn't made them happy. So I think each and every one of us has the ability to shift our mindset, to think about the different things that, although we have experienced in the last 6 months, what can be used to be able to look at it in a more positive stance, and how we can shift that in our favor. And I really like how you mentioned about small goal setting, because too often I know for myself and many other people that we can get caught up in looking at an end goal for something. So if we have a goal that we want to accomplish at the end of the year, that might feel like, one, too big of a goal, and two, too much time in between, because sometimes we can also feel as though if we want to accomplish a goal and it will take a lot of time, we can become discouraged and not actually make that happen. So I think that it's important to be intentional about setting small goals to lead you up to become that larger goal, so that way it doesn't seem so intimidating.
A positive thing that you can do for yourself is to take a small trip. A trip doesn't have to be a big vacation, a big week-long, out-of-the-country type thing. Take a day trip for yourself. Especially in the first 6 months of this year, there was so much going on. By the time I know when I could get back to work, things seemed to come so fast, and after you were kind of not doing something for a long time, it took a big toll to try to jump right back into the old routines and getting back to work. For me, we had a big golf trip that just went on this past weekend. I can tell you that leading up to it, we did so much hard work going into the last couple weeks, and everything was in preparation to go on this trip. At times it got stressful leading up to it, but going on this trip, I mean, it felt so incredible to not be on Facebook, to not be on my phone, to not be seeing everything going on in the world and having thoughts, whether it's good or bad, or getting caught up in the world's problems. I was with family and friends for 4 days, and we had the absolute best time. I felt just so happy and so content and so relaxed. And coming back this week, there's just this newfound energy to really go for it. I mean, to be completely honest, Ashley and I, we're just normal people. We're like everybody else. We have times where we get run down, where we start getting weighed on, where we start feeling all the weight of the world. So to go on this trip, I felt like that's what I needed to kind of break everything down and to relax, take a step back and say, okay, now there's 6 months left in the year. Now I'm ready to get back to it. Now I'm ready to face everything with a completely new attitude, to be happy, to be positive, to see the good in everything. And just taking that little break was a complete recharge. So just like we said, that's what we're going to be aiming to do with our retreat, with our whole day experience, to come and to leave the problems of the world behind, to come and be with good people and good friends, and to just relax and have a great positive time and a great positive atmosphere. Something Ashley and I do too is we will go some days and just jump in the car and just drive. We'll drive, maybe an hour or two away. We go spend the day somewhere. We're not on our phones. We're not, looking at everything going around. We just live in that moment. We go experience just a great day together. And we notice when you get home, it's just this new feeling of just being centered again and feeling good again. Another bit of advice, if you're out there, take a day. If you work all week and you don't get time, take a Saturday if you're home and do something for yourself. If there's something you've wanted to go see or do, take the time and just relax for a day and then see where your mind is when you get home.
Taking a trip and taking that time for yourself is very important for us to really refocus and think about the things that fill us up with joy and make us happy. And I really think that it is so important to remember how we should be filling ourselves up with what serves us and let go of what doesn't. Because as I mentioned earlier, I have friends and family who have been working jobs for months, years, decades that they've been unhappy in. And I know it's such a cliche thing to say, is do what makes you happy, but we don't know how much time we have here. So it is necessary for us to really be intentional about what we give our time and energy to, because too often we can get caught up in doing things for other people, or what our mom says that we should do, or what society leads us to believe we should do. And at the end of the day, it isn't filling us up in any positive manner. So I think it is important for us to remember that we have one life, one chance, and it is up to you to go out and make your dreams and your goals come true.
Again, just to step back for one quick second, talking about taking these trips for yourself. One thing I wanted to add to that is, as you're out and doing these things, I mean, first and foremost, when you're going to go out and do something for yourself, you of course aren't going to go do something that you're going to have a bad time doing. You're going to think of, what am I going to go do that's going to be so much fun, something I've always wanted to do, something I'm going to have a great time doing, and that's what's guiding you to take that trip. You have to apply that same way of thinking and that same logic basically to your life. What at this point is going to bring me the most happiness, is going to make me feel alive? Because if that's not happening in your life right now, you shouldn't be wasting another day doing it. It is very hard to get out of that. It is. It's hard to take the step to change habits that you may have had for 20, 30, 40 years, some people. But at the end of the day, you don't want to be that person looking back saying, man, I worked all these years doing something I really didn't care to do, and the only time I got a break was when I took a little vacation. You don't want to be that person. As we were saying, these past 6 months have not only got the world kind of looking inward and saying what is going on, but I think a lot of people are looking at their own lives saying, not only is all this going on, but man, I really feel negative and bad about my own life and what's happening to myself. That has to come at a place where you're saying, okay, now is the time to change it. The world has kind of taken a turn. It's trying to get back on its axis here. I have to do the same thing. I have to refocus. I have to recenter. I have to say what is going to bring me happiness, and I have to take the responsibility and put the accountability on myself to change my own life. At the end of the day, nobody can do these things for you. I know when I went through hard times myself, you can get talked to by every person you care about and that loves you till they're blue in the face. They can tell you how you need to do this or do that or stop doing this or stop doing that. But at the end of the day, until you look at yourself and you say, you know what, they're right, I have to make a change, that's the only way it's going to happen. You are the only one who's in control. You are the only one who has the final say in what your life is going to be. 6 months is what you have left for the rest of this year to not make it something that's going to be looked back as something so negative, but to change the outcome and to change your life right now. So take this step today to make this 6 months some of the 6 months that are the best of your life.
One question I always think about year to year is, would I be happy if my life was the same as it was next year as it is right now? And if your answer is no, then you have to think about what you can do to get you to that point. And as Jordan mentioned, everything starts within. It's up to you to make these choices and these changes. And I know that sometimes they can be difficult. They can make you feel uncomfortable. They can fill you up with thoughts of uncertainty. But it is up to you to be brave, to be courageous, and to really live a life that you are proud of. We encourage you to take some time to do a mid-year check-in, to check in with yourself, focusing on where you want to be at the end of 2020. Fill this time up with what serves you and let go of anything that doesn't. Let's make the next 6 months the best they can be, and the choice to do so starts and ends with you. Be sure to leave a comment and review on this episode and hit subscribe to stay up to date on the new FTG episodes. Have a great day, everyone, and make today count.
Thanks for joining us at the For the Good podcast. We would love to connect with you. Join us on Facebook and Instagram at For the Good Official and our blog at forthegood.com. And be sure to subscribe to our podcast so you never miss an episode.
Remember, a positive mindset is the beginning of true happiness, not just for the good of the individual, but for the good of the world.